take out and eat as you leave.
Yeah, you
Right?
probably walking out eating it. Yeah, exactly.
But if you go to like a place where this is the person that like and you frequent all the time and you cool with, like the bodega or something like like the bodega clerk or something like that,
Yeah,
they get you too. You be
pick
like,
it
yo,
up.
take one to your girl, take one to moms or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I know. That's the type of relationship I'm trying to have with my community. That's when you're part of a community.
yeah, right, yeah. Is that your Percy or is that just
Nah,
conversation?
no,
Okay.
my person. Yeah, that was just conversation, but I mean, we didn't got to spend no time on this, because it literally takes one word: Diddy.
Whew,
That's
man.
that's what my Sunday Percy is gonna be. I was just like, man, that shit is seeing the oil painting of Diddy in the federal courtroom. It's like, whew,
See,
these
I
names.
didn't dive too deep into a lot of the stuff yet. Like especially the whatever who was it doing it, like the DA that was like doing the press conference and stuff like that. I didn't really like keep up with that. I just kind of heard about the 1,000 bottles of baby oil and
Well,
stuff
yeah,
like that. But
that's
I
all I
mean,
heard too. Honestly, that's what we heard. And
yeah, I mean
uh,
it's crazy. It's crazy. And then just where what my head's been at with this whole thing is just the conversation around that's been happening. That's the general discourse, and I'm like,
mhm.
it's not just related to this. It's just more just general into just like how we look at court cases in general, right?
Mhm.
Like the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, right? Or any kind of court case that's kind of gets kind of national attention. Like, what are we really trying to get out of this? Is it entertainment or is it the actual trying to solve a societal problem?
Yeah. Well, it's never solving a societal problem. I don't think it is. Like, it's ratings for the news stations. We know that. You know
That's
that
what I'm
by
saying. Like, I
yeah,
think
for
for us
sure.
as a society, right? Because I think people will look at this and they'll kind of stuck on like the freakiness of the parties.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I put it in quotes, the freakiness of the party, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, if the party was all consensual, is it really a problem?
We have nothing. Then it's nothing.
It's nothing, right?
That
The
it's
problem
nothing.
is
Yeah.
that like this was not consensual and people were drugged and there was raping involved and stuff like that. And so that's the problem. And the trafficking and as well. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
stuff like that. So like that's the problem. The freakiness is like, all right, people are freaky. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, how much does that really matter at the end of the day compared to just like doing your job? Now, if you're using it to exploit people, even in general, you don't even have
Well,
to be
yeah.
freaky. You don't even have to be freaky to exploit people. You know what I'm saying? You could
Yes.
just be natural sex, like regular sex, and that you could still exploit somebody. But I just wonder, it's just like how much of it is just like entertainment? Like, do we need to know the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff? Was that like a societal thing that we needed
That
to actually keep up with, or was that just
that one
entertainment?
that was absolutely entertainment. That one was
Yeah,
absolutely entertainment. I'm willing to believe that this one could be 50-50. Like, just because, well, shit, Diddy was like one of our biggest celebrities growing up. Like, we millennials, we all like 34, 35, if not,
yeah.
40 plus now at this point. So it's like, I
I'm
think
not
we
saying the
actually want to
charges.
know.
I'm
But
talking
yeah,
about just the general
yeah,
conversation of discourse, right? It's just like I
yeah.
think I'm not saying there's any kind of 50. I'm not going to give a percentage of it. It's just, how much are some people are in there to actually be like, yo, this
Hmm.
is a problem, like a genuine
True.
problem. And then there's other people that are just trying to get their comedic takes off or just
Yeah,
be like, are just there for the salaciousness of the moment rather than understanding like what is actually happening.
yeah. But yeah, that was my Percy. What you got on your mind? We don't need to go
And
no
mine
deeper into that. It's just been crazy. So
Yeah, we could get deeper off pod. Yeah, that was already
yeah,
deeper than it
exactly.
needed to be for pod. Those are the conversations that I'll be dragging us in, after like hours of talking or whatever. But mine is pretty simple and it's gonna pretty much lay out where I'm gonna be at in this entire pod. Is that I slacked this entire week on wrestling.
Yeah. Okay.
And I blame Jaden Daniels
Okay.
and his Monday night performance. Because that just messed up my whole entire schedule. Like usually on Mondays, I got Raw on the big screen and I got Monday Night Football on the small screen. Right. Had to flip it obviously this week because my team is on Monday night. So I had Raw on the tablet, but the game that we got, it was hard to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, at a certain point, I just had to give up on just like paying attention to the tablet and just be like, I gotta watch this game right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jaden
That
did
tracks
what
though. That makes sense.
Jaden did what Jaden did, and that messed up my entire week because I'm just like, give me all of it. You know what I'm saying? Like I want when you get that national attention, you're like, give me all of it.
It's funny because this is not me raining on your parade at all, but I've also done that exact same thing. But it's all been vindication for me where I'm right. And I told you Kirk Cousins, and you were like, whoa, chill out, chill out. And I'm
I don't know I don't even know if he's Kirk.
Right, see, don't get me there yet. I haven't gotten that yet. I'm not that far, but I'm already sitting at Kirk, where it's like, at least as far as like where we view him.
I was gonna text you.
Kirk was being insulted like the majority of his time in Minnesota. Like he was just a number 16 quarterback in the league. Like they were just like, he's mid. And I'm like, that's best case right now.
And that's because a lot of it is because he was getting a fully guaranteed contract for like 89 mil or something like
Trevor
that.
Trevor just got his contract. So this is, if he doesn't turn it around, it'll be one of those like, oh, what's the worst contract in the league? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, that's more of an NBA discussion. Football players, they just stay there unless the organization does some wild shit. But yeah, that's it. Yeah. But
get back to my point.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah.
Hey, man. Like, so yeah, I just ingesting all of the A block content from all of them.
Like 92% completion. I'll get the shit off. 4 touchdowns, game winning touchdown. Young boy looking like RG3.
Bro, you know what I was saying during the entire game you know what I was saying during the game? I was saying, don't compare Jaden to these lame ass niggas, bro. He is not Bo Nix. He is not Caleb Williams. He is that dude.
Right.
He's that dude. That last play is wild. And it's crazy because he did so many wild things, like the 55-yard bomb to Terry. That was beautiful. The dude that he juked out on a quick, read option. He juked him and he had him touching grass. Oh man. He did so many things that it was just like, oh yeah, we forgot because that last throw was just insane.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that everybody was like, yo, a star was born. I'm like, hey, it's only 1 week. This is gonna be a fun game against Kyler this week, but I'm just saying that took up all my time this week, so I'm working on highlights. As we speak through this show. So that is my Percy, and that's why I probably won't be the most insightful person this week, but I'll try my best. I do have some thoughts. But did you want to add anything before we officially start the show?
Let's get it.
Let me find this information to start. And
doors opening. Step back to allow customers to exit.
Loud. Habasha Hayes. Samson.
It's the French fried bro. Moody off the top rope. This is the Wrestling Rio podcast.
A weekly stroll in the avenue of wrestling.
Follow us on social, TikTok, Instagram, Gmail, everything. The Wrestling Rio.
We definitely got to come up with a social media strategy. We'll work on that sometime, hopefully in the next week or so. I did do some research on social media platforms that allow you to kind of manage multiple accounts on one little platform.
Yeah.
So we'll have a easy and enough strategy enough of proliferating content and getting people to visit us. But right now we got a guest, and right now maybe that's Activist Prism. If that's Activist Prism, what up? Is that her name on YouTube? I don't know.
That's the one person we've seen come in here and comment. Yeah, so I know them. Right. Activist Prism for sure.
On YouTube? Okay, cool. Well, either way, this is episode 12 of the Wrestling Rio podcast, and we have a pretty light week, but there was some stuff that happened that can be interesting. It was definitely interesting. Some major moments. Somebody's father is probably really happy this week. Um, AEW had a what was it like five? There's another because this is their 5th year anniversary in general. But I
Yeah,
feel like they had their 5th year anniversary episode earlier this year. But I think this is being regarded as was Grand Slam uh
that
like
was just a
another 5th year
special.
anniversary? It's just a special.
Yeah, and they say it was the 5th year. I'm not sure of their date, but I just believed them when they said it. It's like believing, attendance numbers. You
I
just
don't
are you
like
gonna
that's the thing.
research
Like
it?
I don't know. I know the 5th year of Dynamite, the 5th year episode of Dynamite's coming up soon, right? I believe so. I don't know if it happened, but either way, we got a
That's
lot
how
of stuff
Grand
to go
Slam was
through.
marketed. I think that was it.
We got a lot of stuff to get through. But we could head straight to the flagship store and get to
Yeah.
the Raw recap. And I think we could start off with easily what was the most highlight what was the highlight of the show. The big thing is that Jey Uso finally, in your words, is the main event and is IC champion.
Yep.
Surprisingly, beating Bron Breakker for the championship on Monday Night Raw. And we both have that as the top shelf. So I'm gonna let you. What's up, activists? How you doing? Glad to see you here early with us as well. Yeah, Moody. I'm gonna let you start off and give me your thoughts on Jey Uso beating Braun Breaker and winning the title.
I mean, yeah, like you already teed it up perfectly, but it was just a surprise more than anything because, like, we know that Braun's in his prime. Not to say that Jay isn't, but it's like, all right, we
Yeah.
just built up the badass dog. We got any dogs in the house and shit, and it's like, so this was the reason that you watch weekly television when you know it's going to be like a mid-ish kind of week because you
Yeah.
could just have something like this. And it's like, oh, okay, you turn on. I didn't expect for this to happen. Like, I just mean as far as like on the schedule, I'm thinking Braun's at least going to hold it till like, I don't know when Survivor Series is, but I'm just pushing it out there for it to have his first reign. So, not to say that I was giving Jay no chance, but effectively none. Like, you know what I mean? He's still, but I guess it is interesting because this would be his second. This was his second title defense specifically against Jay, or his second title shot, right?
Jay's title
Yeah,
shot, or are you saying
yeah.
Braun Breaker's title defense?
Jay's title shot. This is the second one he's had because he attempted against
Oh,
Gunther, and
did he face Gunther?
I feel like he did. He was
He
already on
probably
Raw at
did.
that point.
He probably did, but he also fought Roman.
Okay. Yeah, that was my point. I'm glad you even bring up Roman because I was gonna say, well, this is the weakest IC champion he's gone up against. So or weakest competition, I guess, in like a big moment spot. Like if you're comparing Gunther and Roman specifically, so I appreciate you bringing him in. But yeah, caught me off guard. It's definitely top shelf. It's the best in ring thing to happen this week for sure. It
Yeah,
carries
definitely.
it's the highlight of the week.
I think I think it was shocking because again, I think the natural instinct is that Braun Breaker is the young guy. You want to put him over, having him having the belt, it looks good on him and everything like that. You think you're gonna hold it. I think we had the conversation last week, like when we were predicting who's gonna be holding the belts up until main event, right?
Mm-hmm.
In December. And I think we had Braun Breaker holding that title. Maybe we did say those IC and US titles could possibly change at a certain point, but I feel like I would have to go back, but I feel like we said that they would probably feel like they could probably hold those titles up into going into the show. I think we gave more of the US title of a chance losing it. But what I like about this is first, just from a show perspective, this almost feels like, to your point, I think you kind of made this point when you went on gave your thoughts. This feels like old school promise of what Raw was. And it was like
Mm-hmm.
it could happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not obviously Jey Uso is not the 1, 2, 3 kid, but it's the fact that like, yo, usually this ends in shenanigans. Something
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we would be expecting. Yeah.
happens where this match ends in shenanigans and we got to get this back at maybe Bad Blood or some other some other kind of event. But nah, they pulled the trigger. And so for that, that's dope. That really feels that like, hey, yeah, anything can happen on Monday Night Raw. Instead of just being the cookie cutter, we're just getting through storylines. It's like, nah, hey, a title change could happen. You know what I'm saying? And this kind of gets into the, outside of wrestling aspect where it's like, I forget this happened with someone else most recently as well, but um the reaction to Jay winning the championship, not only within the stadium, but also just, outside on social media and stuff and whatnot, is just through the roof. Like this is a genuine moment of just appreciation for for this person who's been in this business since pretty much he was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like there's episodes of back in like the Attitude Era where like him and his brother were probably like behind the scenes in like clips. You know what I'm saying? Like so to be tag team champions, all that, be in the bloodline to finally win your individual championship and be at that spot in WWE and living up to that main event title name that you have. Props to Jey Uso, man. Hard work, man. And we talk about it all the time. Like, what does it mean to be in your 40s? And doesn't necessarily mean it's over for you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you plateaued in some cases. So it's great to see on that. I have one more thought, but I'll let you go.
Oh no, I was just gonna make the parallel. It reminds me like this feels like a surprise Kofi Mania. That's what it is. Because like Kofi Mania was obviously Kofi just stepping in for somebody who wasn't available, and like us still not expecting for him to get the title. But we've been on the journey with him. We remember the push that he had up against Randy Orton, and then like he got shoved back down to the mid card forever. And the reverse side of it, like we weren't expecting for Jay to win, but he definitely had enough grind and work in this character of main event Jey Uso. Like ever since the split off of Bloodline, it's like we were on the ride with him also. And that's why it's so like, seeing him tear up and stuff in the crowd, that was great. Like that was my favorite part of the whole thing. But yeah, go ahead. That was the last thing I wanted to say.
Oh, I mean, well, I'll add to a point because you compared it to Kofi Mania. I think Kofi Mania is a little bit higher just because, that obviously leads into like WrestleMania. My equivalent, I'm not disagreeing. That's just, I'm not even disagreeing with your point. I was just more of relationship to it. I think I would compare it to Mick Foley, Mankind winning the title on Monday Night Raw back in like '99. And those were different circumstances, I think, because at the time, Mankind's character was kind of McMahon's like lackey, and he was always trying to impress him. And McMahon was just like, "You'll never be a champion" and whatnot. And so finally that night, that's when Stone Cold kind of comes in and hits The Rock with the chair, and EX comes out 1, 2, 3, and that's also the night WCW lost because Eric Bischoff was like. Or not Eric Bischoff, but Tony Schiavone was spoiled the match results because Raw was pre-taped that night. But the reaction in that, because everybody was happy for a storyline aspect that yes, the championship is away from the corporation, and this is happening. But everybody was happy for Mick Foley.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay, Mankind won the title. Nah, this is Mick Foley on that call. JR is. Mrs. Foley's baby boys did it. So, like, we are happy for Mick Foley that night, not Mankind in a sense. So, that's where I would kind of compare it. And then my last thing that I want to end this is I was going to name the title of the episode of this, but you remember, Martin is my favorite show. So, the line that comes to me is when Martin proposes to Gina for the first time. But it's like not with the way that Gina wants him to propose. Is he's like, "Damn, Gina, you win. All right, I will marry you. Are you happy?" Just replace that with Rikishi.
Yeah.
Damn, Rikishi, you win. Jay will win the title. Are you happy now? Can you stop complaining?
Yeah.
I believe you, but I'm just like, I think Rikishi's complaining comes from storyline. I do think there's some personal father thing, but like he has to know. Even on the he wrote a congratulation post saying like quote adding Rhea Ripley saying hey mommy, time to party. So what is going on? What's going on, Keish?
Well, we know he's paying attention. Whether or not he knew it would be coming up, I'm sure that they're still prone to like off the cuff type of things that they probably showed up that night and it's like, hey, Jay's going over tonight. You know what I'm saying?
They told the family that Roman was going over Brock until Seth came into the ring.
Yeah.
And you know the NY family was tight. But let's move on to our next thing. We'll go on something that we differ. I will go with what I have as a primo is the Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman. I said Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman is going to be really good because usually I have this as primo because usually this stuff I probably would typically have at mid because it's just kind of run of the mill, just kind of pushing the storyline along. But they're really doing their thing as far as just showing the aggression and tenacity between these two wrestlers. And it's going to be interesting. Some of the stuff that they're doing as far as like trying to keep people away from them, it's just pretty entertaining. Obviously, these security men are just NPCs. You know what I'm saying? But like, hey, you get in the look on television, right? It's like to get thrown on top of another dude and then take a tsunami from Bronson Reed. Thought that was dope.
Yeah.
I thought there was a lot of good stuff in there. And it seems like I was wondering as I was watching it and seeing Braun Strowman about to suplex Bronson Reed from the top rope, I'm like, all right, that's just built for this ring to just, collapse.
Yeah.
Right. And if they don't do it on Raw, you do it at Bad Blood. Does this mean this is the main event? It's not the main event, but like, how do you make the ring collapse and then just put it back together that quickly?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say because it seems like if they do that move, I want the ring to collapse.
Yeah, it definitely would. That's what my mind was going was Big Show Brock in like 02, 03 when that happened on SmackDown. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're gonna do that. I was like, but it's right before the pay-per-view, so they're definitely gonna do that spot at the pay-per-view. And
how do you do it at the pay-per-view, but when you have like 4 more matches to do?
Oh yeah, you're right. That's a logistic.
You know how you do it. You know how you do it. You do it early in the match, and then I don't know. Does this match have a stipulation?
Not yet, but that's what we were talking about last week. What is it going to be?
Make this a false count anywhere match. If you make this
a
false count anywhere match, and you do that spot at like early in the match, and then they just start scrapping around the arena. You could have Michael Cole or whoever, Joe Tessitore, just as the match is going on in the back, be like, "Oh, we got the officials out here and the ring crew all trying to get the ring back together since that in the third, but we're gonna keep you blah blah blah." Like they can scrap outside while they're getting the ring crews is getting the ring back together during the match. So
yeah,
I'm hyped for this. The build up for it has actually been really good to what it typically would have been, and we're gonna get 2 big meaty men slapping meat on next Saturday or Sunday, whatever it is.
Yeah. I had this in my mid, and I called it the Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman Kaiju battle. But it's for the reason that you said immediately, just because it was moving story along. But also comparisons. I mean, this is the greatest show ever. But like the 17, hardcore triple threat match, like. That match is so great, and like the way they did this just reminds me of that because they move fluidly, throughout the arena. They were doing destructive spot. All right, here's a choke slam. I'm gonna go find a table or something. Now we're moving to the next area. So it's like, as long as you can keep that up and not make that feel stale, like because we constantly say we want the locker room and like the arena to feel real. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We know that these are real people in real space, so. But yeah, the most impressive thing, it just reminded me of my buddy Shemaiah. He used to talk about, I can't remember his friend's name, but he told me this story about how he was in Memphis in high school. Like he was a junior in high school. And there was this dude that went to high school with him that basically stood up I mean, for lack of a better term, bullies or fuck niggas, whatever
Yeah.
that was pressing them. And he was like, and then Moody, this is a quote from him. I saw this nigga hit a nigga with another nigga. That's what Bronson Reed did. That nigga hit a nigga with another nigga. He reached in the crowd and threw some. I'm like, bro, that's some different level shit. So,
that's what I'm saying. Like, the stuff that we've seen from the build up in this, I'm like, all right, like, y'all not just, this is not the typical, like, they're not relying on them just being giants. They're just saying, like, yeah, these are giants and they're wild.
Yeah.
Like the Supreme how you describe it as a kaiju battle, this is like King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah. Yeah, this was designed for, but I'm looking forward to the match. Not the main event, but
no, it's not. But it's definitely got me intrigued.
That's an interesting. We can talk about that.
We gotta hope they put a fall. You gotta hope they make it a falls count anywhere.
Yeah. Oh man. So what I had in my primo was us finally getting our custody of Dom match. That's what I wrote in quotes.
Yeah.
But it's for the WWE or women's title or the women's world championship. So just finally getting Shark Cage. I think that they called it a Shark Cage match. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember a time when they just called it straight up a Shark Cage match. But either way, it's interesting.
I'll double check that. But
yeah, or Rhea. Her quote was, "You're going to be dangling in a shark cage." So, like, you're going to be right where you're supposed to be behind bars, dangling in a shark cage. That's what she says. And then you see Dom just have awesome PTSD from his time in prison when he was in lockdown. He was like, "No, I can't go back. I can't go back." I'm like, oh yeah, pulling that up because nobody believes you. Just bring up the prison thing again. Yeah, that works great. So,
spoiler alert: that is a that is a champion of the week for me.
Oh yeah,
that is a champion of the week for me.
But yeah, it was more so just about the announcement, and it's like, all right, you finally gave us what we want. I could have knocked it down. I thought about it, but then I was like, nah. In combination with Dom's acting or his outlandish response to that's why it's in the primo. So
I probably had it in shake, but I mean, like I said, the Dominic's reaction, that's a champion of the week for me. I'm not gonna spoil the title belt that he's going to get, but no, yeah, I thought it was good. I think everybody knew Dominic had to be suspended in the ring.
Yeah, we
talked about this for months, not just us. Everybody, it's like it has to happen. This the same way that we felt that a Hell in a Cell match was just due. We just felt it in our bones that it was just like, all right, like there's something that's leading us to a Hell in a Cell match, and it feels for the first time justified. This match, we knew that at some point Dominic has to be suspended up there. I do think Rhea's explanation of like Dominic likes to interfere in the matches. I'm like, bro, he did that for you.
I think, yeah, that's why it's appropriate because he can't be a neutral party. You know what I'm saying? Even if he was, because the last time that these two faced off in their spot, he flipped on Rhea. The same thing could happen with Liz,
I'm saying like she talks about she brings it up as a point that like when he was on her side and she had title matches that Dominic didn't interfere.
Well, we know that's not true, but
I'm just saying that she presents it in that fashion that it seems like you had a upholding a citizenship board for title defenses when you didn't either. So I thought that was a little funny, but overall, I mean, it is. I'm on Wikipedia. It says Dominic Mysterio will be suspended above the ring in a shark cage, and a shark cage actually has a link to it in its own. Oh, it actually takes you to a shark cage Wikipedia page. I thought it was a wrestling Wikipedia page, but yeah, I thought that was entertaining. I thought it was entertaining, and I thought it was good. I think for me, it's more shake just because it just kind of pushes the storyline along. Like we knew we were gonna get this. I'm just glad it doesn't have. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't know if we knew we were gonna get this, but we knew that this was the loudest thing that the fans wanted. So, because it is a different era, Triple H. Like, that's such a specific thing. Well, we gotten the shark cage from Vince if we wanted it. I think we would have just got one. I mean, when it's booked to it, because this actually makes sense for the booking of somebody to say, even be in a shark cage, as specific as that is. You know what I mean? We wouldn't have got the booking towards it where we knew it was coming. So,
yeah, but again,
it's
we
a
would
nice
be
surprise.
like to say that if this was Vince, we would be in a different mindset than we are now with Triple H. So, like, yeah, we probably wouldn't even be thinking about it because we know how that's not how the direction would go. But I think knowing how Triple H books, it's like, all right, cool, yeah. I think the biggest thing is that this is not a fight for Dominic.
Yeah.
I think if we did get a shark cage match or the same type of match under a Vince leadership, this would have been women fighting over a man.
Mm-hmm.
When really,
the literal
this is
custody of Dom match part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right now, this is like Rhea don't need him. You know, this is more of just like stay out of the way.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the difference in how we get to these storyline matches. If I feel like from the Vince and Triple H era. So
yeah, no, absolutely, I agree, and I would say it's just another brick on the foundation of Triple H of like believability. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
where it's like it's just another like, all right, I trust this guy
because the beef is between Liv and Rhea,
and this is nothing but a supreme.
Dom is just there.
Yeah, it's just a booking of you're banned from ringside.
Yeah,
that's what that is. But it's just to the 10th. Yeah, it's your banned
exactly.
From
but again, if this was Vince, it would have been this is a custody for Dom. The whole storyline would have been based around Dom. And Dom being this player and and Dom's character on Vince would probably be way more different. He wouldn't be this knowingly corny.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Dom's character. Like we know
the hero.
Yeah, we know Dom is cheesy as hell because like he's not who he says he is. You know what I'm saying? But
exactly.
Vince would have played it completely different. So we'll get to Vince a little bit more in a little bit later. But next, I guess we are going into our mids.
Yeah.
I'll let you start with your mid because I don't have this on my card.
Just more standard pushing storyline along of Sammy is definitely, or I said Sammy. Sammy is definitely going to challenge Gunther, right? Like, because Gunther's just like, I don't give a damn what you do. You're not going to get the shot against me for the title. But it was just pushing the storyline along with that. Sammy beating Ludwig Kaiser being great in the ring, but not good enough. And I wonder if it's like, I'm not going to say I'm not cooled off with this because I still want to see the match. But I think it's just like maybe I am saying I'm cooling off slightly just because it's like we know what this match looks like. You know what I mean? We just saw it for the IC title at Mania. So
this is a different title. This is a different league, like you said, man. Like,
oh yeah, of course. I mean, in realism, like sense, like we've seen these two wrestlers go at it. They have history. That's what I mean. So yeah. Like, of course, Gunther is on that level, and Sammy is not, sent to him holding the title. So I guess I just want more tension there. Like, because I'm not liking Gunther just stalling. I'm not liking that, honestly. But
this is how you add time to Gunther's. I think. Go ahead. Yeah. All right, I cut you off.
No, I understand he's just being like a super prideful heel champion, but it's like, I mean, he beat your lieutenant because like that's what I'm expecting is like after you beat the lieutenant, then what else you got to say? Like you got to knock down the little guys before you get to the big boss, right? But it's like he's still like, nah, whatever, and I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, because we know Sammy's getting the match, so what are we actually doing?
Yeah, I guess in non-kayfabe, yes, we know Sammy is eventually getting a match. I think that match happens at Survivor Series.
Okay.
Because Survivor Series is where? Vancouver, Canada. And
Canada,
and Sammy is not from fucking Vancouver, but he is Canadian. He's the Canadian representative. He's the ambassador.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
I think I'm speaking in a non-storyline, non-kayfabe. I think what is happening is we want to build time on Gunther's title reign, and this is how you build time.
Hmm.
Does he doesn't have a match at Bad Blood. I doubt they're gonna book one for next week. Yeah, we already have it seems like the non-major ones are 5 matches. We have 5 matches right now. I doubt they make 6.
Yeah.
And that's not even I'm looking at this right now. Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman are not even on this card. So that might
Oh
happen at
yeah.
another time. So I say all that to say that right now I think this is just gonna continue up into Survivor Series to have Sammy versus Gunther at in Canada in Canada
Yeah, yeah.
in Canada, and then you take Sammy's Diamond Resiliency badge on home turf.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, that's when it's most believable. Yeah.
that's where
But
you at least kind of get it. But then you make Gunther win, and it just puts him down. Now, what I think might happen, what I think I'm going to predict next steps for Sammy. Gunther is going to tell Adam Pearce because Adam Pearce has no spine. Because at the end of the day, if we're keeping this kayfabe, right? Yeah,
yeah.
Sammy's going to get Gunther doesn't have to do anything if he doesn't sign a contract.
Yeah.
You could
He's a champion. Yeah.
you can make the contract. Sammy could sign it. It don't happen until I sign it. Right? So if I never sign
Yeah.
it, then we're not gonna happen.
It ain't happening.
So
Yeah.
I think what's gonna happen, maybe again, Adam Pearce doesn't have a spine. He's gonna tell Pearce, Sammy, if Sammy wants this title, he needs to go through a gauntlet match. And so Sammy's
Dang.
gotta go through like 6 people.
Dang. You gotta just bump up the resiliency badge even more. We're making new categories.
Hey, well, whoever. He's got to go
Yeah,
through at least a few people, like a 5-round
Mhm.
people of saying, like, if you want this title shot, you got to go through a gauntlet. And if you lose, it's a wrap.
Yeah. I'd say, and if I'm good, it's funny because I just would have been like, all right, well, if you lose, then you never get a title shot against me again. I think that's the answer to it. But
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
oh no,
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah.
if you lose, you never get a title shot against me ever again.
Oh, okay. But yeah, you didn't
Like I
finish
said, like
sentence.
obviously,
I'll
like
finish your sentence for you.
you basically you make it a competitive thing, right? It's like, hey, you are starting at number 1, and if you win, you obviously get the title shot. If you don't get the title shot, and whoever you lose to gets that title shot from against me. They'll get the one against the title shot.
Yeah.
So, but then obviously Sammy wins. So open challenge gauntlet, basically. That's what I'll call for.
Okay.
Nonetheless, but like
Oh,
again,
yeah.
I'm the same way with the overall. I'm the same way with the Sammy Gunther of it. It's a little too soon for me. I'm just
Yeah.
not there.
Yeah. All right. What else we got on here?
I got Xavier Woods picking fights.
Oh yeah.
And getting a match with Rey Mysterio next week. Because
Oh.
I think they're trying to obviously make Xavier the heel in this, and I'm like, I wish they toned it down a little bit. I have this in Mid Rising. I'm excited about this because it's giving Xavier time. I'm just like, bro, you're justified, and
Oh yeah.
I think to make him feel that he is the wrong as far as how he is presented as the character, he's going a little overboard. Like I think if he toned it down a little bit, you're completely justified in your behavior, in your actions. And again, the biggest problem is that Kofi and him haven't had the actual conversation that they needed to have. They're talking around it and they haven't had the conversation. They haven't talked about Kofi's lack of communication. And that's resulted in Xavier not communicating. So again, y'all gotta actually have this. Yeah, they gotta have therapy. Big E needs to get his doctor's glasses on and therapize these dudes. I'm making new words up.
I think that's a word. You didn't make it up.
Therapize? Okay.
Yeah. If not, Mandela effect for both of us. So it don't matter. Y'all know what we talking about. I agree that it's slightly over
Because he kind of jumped to conclusions with you're coming at me because I don't have a singles champion. And I'm like,
yeah, see, but that's what's great about it is that when I hear that, you're reading into his subconscious. That's him projecting, right?
mhm.
He thinks that he's left out of the group because he's not a world champion, when in fact, in truth, they really do care about them, or we would believe that, right? Kofi is basically his brother, and like we know Ray is the eternal babyface, so it's like they care about him, and that doesn't make him any other different. But it's clearly something that he wants, that the character wants, and I would like to see Woods with a singles championship. Like if it takes, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Like breaking up the New Day if Xavier gets a singles run, like a singles championship, like as this character.
I think the biggest thing is that when Kofi got his title reign or title chance,
Mhm.
E and Xavier were there to back him up and be that support system. When E got his chance at a title shot, Kofi and Xavier were there to be that support system. Where's the support system for Xavier? Especially because E's not around. So Kofi, he's like, oh yeah, we'll just be tag team champs. We like, bro, come on, man. Like, give me the support.
It's funny because you didn't answer my question now. Is that, would you be willing to trade the New Day for like frustrated, like well acted Woods, whatever this turns into, like him as champion at a main event? As like one of the big four.
I guess I say yeah, because again, like at the end of the day, it's like you gotta understand, like as a friend, you gotta understand as a friend, like, hey, like I still have passions and desires. And that doesn't, and I want you to come along and help me. And we could do this together, like we've done it for E, like we've done it for you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not willing to take that ride for me, I can pull over and you can get out.
Exactly, because like you said, he's justified. So if you're justified and you're having frustrations and a disagreement with someone, like extended, like, and even the people around them are like, yo, you got it all wrong. You're the one who's messing up here. Y'all trying to make me think I'm crazy. And it's like, nah, you just need some different friends. Like I'm cool with that. I can dip off of here. You know what I'm saying? And still go do what I got to do. So it's like, yeah, that would be a huge like change from like what we've seen of Xavier, obviously. But hey, that's booking. You know,
that's not.
I'm
Again,
not saying that's not the booking, but that's just like random shit.
I put that more on Kofi. Like that's why I kind of feel conflicted about this, because like right now I think they're selling me Xavier as a heel. And I'm like, yeah, you're turning up a notch and you're dropping, you're being heavy-handed with some of the heelish things. But if you strip the heelish things that is happening, he is completely justified in trying to be a singles champion. It is no different than Jey Uso.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But Jey Uso don't have Jimmy with him right now.
Mm-hmm. But he was happy to get away from Bloodline now.
If Jimmy was Jimmy was undermining him the entire time.
Yeah. So he had to leave a toxic situation. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Why is Xavier got to be the heel now? That's why I said.
I mean, we're breaking down the nuance of it right now.
I'm just calling my placement right now early. I'm on Xavier's side on this.
Yeah. Okay.
When he turns on Xavier on Kofi, it's gonna be, to me, I'm sure they're gonna do a great job of trying to convey it as a heel thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was very devious and stuff like that. At this point, it's justified. I've been saying it for weeks. Is Xavier the bad guy in this? We've said it since like we could go back into the record books. Like, I'm not trying to push against you. I'm just saying, like, we talked about this for at least 3-4 weeks. I feel like Xavier is completely justified and there's been a lack of communication. But at this point, again, if you want to be singles champion and your boy don't understand that, that's wild. Especially because he knew how much he was there in that ring with you at WrestleMania when you won your title with your kids and your family. Like, he want that same shit.
At least that's what I'm reading into it. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, this is what's great about, I mean, the Triple H era, I guess. You know, we're breaking down the nuance of it, and that's where I pick up. He wants to be a singles champion. That's what I thought was important about that. Is that like that's the thing? He said the quiet part out loud. You know, he wants to be world champion. So, looking forward to it. But it looks like we're both willing to trade the New Day for a championship run for Xavier. That was my thing. But to get to the shake, we both had Drew's promo. Great lines in here. I mean, that's all you can expect, honestly, up to this point. I see the Bleacher Report graded it an A. Quotes in here: "I'm gonna make you bleed a lot, punk. I promise." A lot. Like, just keep it simple. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's all. I mean, the Hell in a Cell is already at a broil. It's at a witch's broil. You know what I'm saying? This cauldron is boiling over already. So it's like you can't do anything else for me at this point. Where it's like I just want to see the match for them. Like, they've already been doing this the whole year. So, do you have anything for that?
No. I mean, I thought this was a great promo. I mean, it's only in shake because there was a lot of other good stuff on the show. And then the other thing is no different than what Punk said last week.
Yeah.
Again, like, I think the blood is already at a very high level that, you know, I'm curious to see what's going to happen on Monday. Does anything really need to happen on Monday? Maybe. I don't know. Nothing really much needs to happen more. We just need to get to the match at this point. So that's why I'm like, I appreciate the promo. You know, I like that, you know, both Punk and Drew the last 2 weeks have been more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not reserved, but you know, because like their tone was much more. They weren't raw typical wrestling promo, but they were more kind of
not restricted because they said what they wanted, but like I don't know, softer language, but not soft.
Yeah,
either,
you get what I'm saying.
I know
you get what I'm
saying.
saying. Like, they were more direct with like their words than they typically would have been. But again, it was a good promo. Like I said, if this was any other week, or if it wasn't paced out as how it was, this would have been probably like a primo. But it's shake. It's just how it works out.
Yeah, and the last bit of shake not shake, excuse me, not me this. Yeah, it was shake.
Yeah, it was shake.
Yeah, but Damage Control going over Unholy Union. It's what I wanted to see, but as typical, I don't think this match was like 8 minutes. But I get both the spots I want to see. So at the end, we have Isla Dawn down in the ring, and Kairi Sane, Isla Dawn, and Alba Fire. Alba Fire is outside the ring. She hits an insane elbow to which, you know, is effectively a crossbody because she's standing up to the outside, which I thought was awesome. And I got kind of scared just because, I mean, they are still 12 feet in the air. So, you know, as you're making that jump, but it was super clean. And then right after that finish ended up being, you know, Io running up that same turnbuckle, and Isla Dawn is down in the ring over the moonsault. 1, 2, 3. Great. That's all I got.
All right. Yeah, I'm working on highlights. I gotta go back and watch that one. So I trust your word on that. But again, like I'm a fan of both those teams. So, anything else we want to pick up or talk about at the flagship?
Nah.
All right. Let's move over to Tuesday. And the big thing that came out this week that was wrestling related was the Ringer in distribution with Netflix, have a 6-part documentary series called Mr. McMahon that goes into Vince McMahon's career and life and history, and obviously all the current stuff that's going on with him recently. The first time pretty much ever Vince has talked publicly about himself. So
Yeah.
I'll start with my general thoughts. My general thoughts is from what, and I'm glad Bill and David Shoemaker, I listened to their commentary on this. They said if you're a hardcore wrestling fan, pretty much like us, like you're not,
Mhm.
everything was pretty much new. There wasn't anything new or anything. And I understand that because you're on Netflix. There's people that are not as into wrestling as we are. So
Yeah.
you're like, oh, a lot of that stuff is new to people. I do think the things that stood out to me the most was, and Vince said this numerous times in the documentary, is that he is someone that has no regrets. And it's crazy because the thing that I'm a big fan of Owen Hart, and I like Owen Hart. Like I became a fan of him after the fact, obviously, because I started watching wrestling really around like '99. So
Mhm.
it was right. It was like summer '99. So it was like really right after Owen. But through history and through the WWE Network, I've been able to go back and watch a lot of the old stuff. And man, Owen is amazing. Was amazing.
Yeah.
He was so good. And so to see those clips again, that they scrubbed off the, what's on the network, to see those clips again, because I've seen the actual original copy of it. To see Jeff Jarrett and Deborah cut a promo, and to know the context that he was being carted behind as they were cutting that promo. Like Deborah starts that promo,
Yeah.
and she sees in the corner of her eye Owen being carted. And Jeff sees her losing her composure in that moment and then picks up the promo. And then you see kind of Deborah kind of stand to the side. But like they both
Mhm.
saw it and they still got to cut a promo and then go out there and have that match. And then the way they showed that blood spat on the side of the ring and then how everybody had to just walk past it and look at it during the entire time that they had to go out there and continue the show. To say that, like, if it was me, I want them to go out there and finish the show. Bro, no one's finishing the show, bro.
Yeah.
And again, you have the luxury of 99 that, like, nobody has phones like that. There was one guy that had a phone. You could see it in that video clip, too. Sitting right behind JR at King. There's one guy, I think it was like a Spanish dude, a Latino dude. He was waving at the camera and he was like, Then at one point you see him on a phone in 99.
Mhm.
It's wild, because that you can't get away with that shit today. Can't
No,
get away with that.
that's yeah, and obvious like because it's still like the thing about wrestling is that it has the air of like kayfabe. The believe it, you have to get into the believability bubble before you actually start like caring about it and all this stuff. But like still in the sports aspect or sports entertainment, like we saw Damar Hamlin drop last year, and like you remember how I think it was Skip Bayless that like took a whole lot of heat because that same night he's texting or he's tweeting about, oh well, what are we gonna do about like the wild card seating or like whatever
Yeah.
the hell, like if they can't play, and it's like, dog, what are your priorities?
You're right.
What are your priorities? Because that's not a all right. I'm glad that you pointed that out. That just the whole like Owen aspect of it, tragic event. Like, yeah, I had never seen that of like Deborah and Jeff Jarrett, But yeah, like you said, adding that context, it's like, holy shit, like there's no way that this show could have kept going. Like when you had one of your superstars, not even it doesn't matter, but anybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially like it'd be different if somebody had a heart attack backstage or something, something
Mhm.
natural. But like this was on the job for the job, and you still went on with the job. And it was just like, yo, that's like one of the most callous
Justified. Be
things. Like
like,
with
oh,
that.
like the lights were down, so nobody really saw it.
Yeah. That's crazy, bro.
And
And
again, to have no regrets, like the other thing that stood out to me was, and I've always wondered, and I don't know if I ever we got a full answer about this, but the Trish Stratus part of it,
Mhm.
because I even as a kid seeing her crawl around and all that stuff, I didn't even like that,
Yeah.
and I was 10 years old. I was like, nah, bro, that is wild. And I've
Mhm.
always wanted to know her opinion on that, and I'm sure, like she said, she gets that question asked to her all the time. I'm sure. I don't recall. I don't know if she ever gave like an actual opinion on it. It seems like she didn't like a lot of the stuff that she had to do.
Yeah. I think she seemed like
I
for
think there's
that.
part of it that she knows that it's entertainment. Because
Yeah,
I
because
did
she
like
seemed
when
very
she said
comfortable with the
Linda was like,
entertainment
"Yo,
part
you
of
should
it.
kiss me on the forehead," and that would get people real mad. I'm like, yeah, like
Mhm.
okay, I understand that's entertainment, but like to be like, "Yo, I want you to take your clothes off in front of all these people and crawl around and bark like a dog
Yeah.
on national television," wild, wild.
Yeah, and for me, another one was like, uh, I guess this was known just due to the dynamics of the character, but Shane McMahon just saying like the typical father son dynamic where it's like,
Yeah.
I just want to make you proud, you know? It was like, and then you also, with the context of it, you have Booker T and like Undertaker and literally everybody that they interviewed, Trish, everybody's
Mhm.
like, yeah, Shane was trying to prove something to his father. Like we all see it. Like,
Yeah, you could all see
and his
it.
dad. Well, I mean, we don't know the family dynamics of it, so it's like for it to be real, you can say that like you can. There's no way to see the wrestling characters for me as a kid and like understand that the real life Shane is like trying to do this to impress his father, like
I think it's
to
the I
earn his
think from
place. You know what I
I
mean?
think before he I think up until Shane left the first time, yeah, you probably couldn't tell unless you were
Yeah.
there in the locker room. But I think once he left, I thought that was the first kind of like real like eye-opening thing that happened. Because I'm like,
Mhm.
man, you wouldn't think any McMahon would leave the family company.
Leave the business. Yeah, for what? This is it's $1 billion company. We got it
So like the
now.
fact that Shane was not associated with the WWE, that was an eye-opening thing. And then, to have him come back and things of that nature, it's
One of my favorite returns of all time.
Shane,
Like, I
everybody
love
loves
it.
Shane, bro. Everybody loves Shane. Um the Shane stuff was also very enlightening. I agree with you on that. So overall, I thought the documentary was good. It was like, it went through a lot of depth, a lot of history, I would say. Not again, if you listen to wrestling podcasts like Bruce Pritchard and stuff like that, Bruce was on there. He didn't say anything
Yeah.
different that he didn't say on his podcast.
Yeah. This is all the same shit. Like, if you've been
It's all the same shit.
yeah,
So,
keeping track.
if you're a hardcore wrestling fan, the biggest insight you will take from this is just the actual pe- people interview, and then obviously the Vince words. Those are the biggest things. The history is there, you know it. I honestly don't see why Vince, outside of just the principle and the legal ramifications of, you know, trying to get this movie taken down. But all of this is public information. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's been known.
what would you rate the movie, the documentary,
The doc,
out of 5?
it feels standard. I'd give that like, if we're going off of classic Netflix rankings, that's like 3.5 out of 5.
I give it a 3.5
Like,
out of 5 as well.
yeah, because yeah, like you said, no super revelations for us. We knew all this stuff, but so that obviously takes the air out of it. Or there's all the shock factor is gone. There's no shock factor for me at all.
Yeah,
So, or for us. But yeah, still well put together, and for it to like well paced, just to cover the time
yeah,
frame, obviously from childhood and stuff. So that's what really got me through was like,
yeah,
all right, we're not belaboring the points of like shit that I already know. It was just like,
yeah.
all right, you pick a thing, and it was like 20-25 minutes real world relation, and then it like segues into the next episode. So it was well constructed.
And all of the Vince interviews happened before the allegations came down, and they let you know that all
At
this
the beginning
happened.
and the end.
Yeah, they tell you that as soon as those allegations came down, he canceled all of his following interviews with
Mhm.
with the documentary team. So everything that he says is before the allegations came through and he left WWE. So obviously there are different opinions coming through, but nonetheless, we can move to Bodega. This was the weakest show of the week.
Yeah, it was
NXT.
easily.
I'll let you start.
We can sprint through it.
You have more than me.
Yeah. My only primo of the show is effectively the main event, or it was the main event. We have the Julia and Roxanne contract signing, and which is great. It's also in primo because I agree. This would have been in mids, but with the effect of two things brings us up to a primo, which is seeing SmackDown #1 announcer Funaki as translator was like, yeah, I'm glad to see Funaki again. Just and being a serious role because I'm just like, oh yeah, he's probably a coach backstage right now. And it's like, all right, dope. Yeah. Like Funaki, like just seeing him, like that immediately put that in my head. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's helping the Japanese with like the Japanese like new recruits with like their adjustment probably.
I don't know if he still does it too, but he used to do the commentary for the Japanese team.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he did used to do that. But yeah, having Funaki there help with Julia's translation of like, why she came to WWE. And of course, it's for the NXT women's title. And at the end of that, also what's important to point this out in that segment, they had the press. The press was there, press, was by the ring and having people ask, the competitors questions. And then hearing suddenly a feminine voice. They're like, Brian Saxton is like, oh, no, excuse me, if whatever outlet that is, please hold your question. And then we see it's finally Stephanie Vaquer, and she exists. She's here, or not here, via satellite. She's here.
Yeah.
And just threatening. Like, it doesn't matter who wins the title on the first episode of CW, because what are you going to do when I'm on your ass? And it's like, that Chilean accent. I love it. Like, that's all I got. But that's what brings it up to a primo. Put these women in the main event. Let's see it. It's obviously overbooking already, but where's my triple threat? Come on.
Yeah.
Already.
I mean, obviously, like I'm hyped for what is to come. Obviously, it's contract signings or press conferences, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
They're all right. So to me, it's
in ring press conference. Yeah.
It's shake. I leave it as shake, but it's more. To your point, let's get to this three-way. Whatever. Let's see these three women just go at
snatch the wigs off. No, snatch the wigs off. I want to see all the eyelashes and makeup flying. Mids, we had the same thing. You want to take the point, but CM Punk is going to be the special guest referee for the NXT title match between Ethan Page and Trick Williams. How do you feel about that?
The first episode of NXT on CW is in Chicago, correct?
Yeah.
I guess that's the only logical reason why this is happening. It doesn't bother me. I just don't get it. I don't care. Like, I get it. I get it for non-kayfabe reasons. For a kayfabe style,
of course.
CM Punk, mind your business.
Yeah.
You had time to go to Monday Night Raw and say whatever you want. Why are you taking these young folks' time? I'm coming from kayfabe reasons. Why are you taking these young folks' time? They got 2 hours. You on a 3-hour show, and you be like, "Oh, the 3-hour show don't work for me. I gotta go on Tuesday and take this 2-hour show's time slots." These kids are hungry. And you just big bossing out there, be like, I'm gonna take some TV time and then insert myself into a match that I have no relationship to. Either way, I think Ethan Page is gonna let his ego get the best of him, fucking with Punk, and Trick wins.
All right, calling it early, but I feel the same way. But similarly, I'm just like, it would have been different at least, like, because we obviously understand that, NXT superstars are younger than us. They're like all 24, 25, if that. So, the champion is 20, Roxanne Perez, so or
21.
22, so
Yeah.
whatever, barely legal. So it's like we understand, like if we understand that CM Punk is a legend, they were like basically barely walking, and they're like, "Oh my God, CM Punk!" You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, he's a legend, and he can just walk in there, but it's just like it would have hit like because they've already sprinkled in. It's like he's been to NXT before, and like Roxanne has had like those run-ins with him and stuff like that. So, or he even did that just last week. So I guess I just don't care for it. I just don't care for it, especially just because he was just directly involved with a special guest referee match, and that one was very well booked for the reason to have a special guest referee, and you're just walking in and becoming the special guest referee. So we think
My
Sean's
question
booking is
to
different
you,
than
my question
Hunter's.
to you, and this is just a random thought, is did CM Punk and Ethan Page have any kind of interaction in AEW? Do we have any history?
Not that's worth anything. No, Ethan Page was part of a faction, if I remember correctly, and did not get really on air that much.
Okay.
He was
I
he
was
was
just
more of a background guy. He was like a background like project wrestler,
yeah.
where it's like
I
you
was
see
just
the
I
potential
could
type of
see
thing.
CM Punk having a little fisticuffs with Ethan Page, but why would he carry on with both Ethan Page and Drew McIntyre? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, unless hopefully this Hell in a Cell match is the end of this, so he can finally move forward. But if that's the case, then yeah, go spend some time with Ethan Page and ruffle some feathers. But uh, yeah, cool. But yeah, I get it. He's in Chicago, and you're bumping ratings, and you're trying to fill a stadium up. So I get it.
yeah.
Um,
Uh, I had
you
this in
go
mid.
ahead.
You had it in shake, or no?
Yeah,
Take that back. I had that in Reggie. Uh, you had it in shake, but A
it's
Town
shake
Down Under
worthy.
is just
I mean,
it's
not
just
shake
taking too
worthy.
long.
I meant it's Reggie
Reggie.
worthy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was just like, and then it's just the because once again we understand like working with NXT, like main roster and NXT crossover.
Mhm.
Like I'm down to see this match. Like don't even get it twisted, right? However, in kayfabe, once again, what the fuck are y'all doing here? Like, all right, Grayson, like y'all are NXT alumni, so they know the crowd, even in kayfabe, knows who they are. But coming out, coming out, and then not, um, I guess, just doing what I want you to do already at this point because they just like kick the ball further down the road. Because I feel like you're taking the main roster point of or the storyline of Austin Theory should be turning on Grayson Waller. Then you're still like offhandedly mentioning it, but being like, but by the way, how about those NXT tag team titles though? Like, I don't get it. Like that's why, because that's like you're pulling me in two different directions at this point. And I understand how like booking where I would have Axiom and Nathan Frazier retaining that.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's finally the match that'll set it off because y'all can't even beat the NXT, tag teams or something. But either way, I was like, as far as they pushed it, and I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it.
This is definitely Reggie worthy, but I mean, I already had it in Reggie a couple of weeks, but I'm just gonna be reiterating a point. Even when it happens, this Austin Theory turn to whatever happens, but it seems like they're gonna try to make him turn face, right? I have no care at all.
Yeah, when that
Like
turn happens, it'll be a shake for us.
When Grayson Waller turns on him and like fully goes heel and betrays him, and I'm like, you deserve it, Austin Theory, because there's been way too many times that this man has clearly shown you his true colors, and you just are being idiotic, continuing to like you get into they Axiom and Nathan Frazier bring up a question like, why is it called just the Grayson Waller effect? And then Austin Theory's like, oh yeah, that's good, blah blah. Why? Where's my picture? Blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, Grayson Waller just throws a punch, and then you start beating up the other guys. What is happening?
Yeah. Which that actually tracks for Grayson Waller because it's easier to track Grayson Waller's heeldom because that same thing happened with DIY, where DIY was calling him out on SmackDown, and he instead of like getting in Austin's head, he was like, "Fuck it, let's just run the fade." So it's like, all right, I see what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? But like, that didn't have any legs because when Axiom's like, that should be the Grayson Waller and
Austin
him effect,
Theory.
whatever, Austin Theory effect. It's like, no, nigga, no, it shouldn't be because he had the Grayson Waller effect on NXT when he was back here by his goddamn self.
He said he had the trademarks. He worked
exactly. He got them, and that's not cat. Like I know that's not cat. Like he's been grinding this shit. Like he just now getting up to 2,000 views. You know what I'm saying? Like if anything, he's like Austin has earned.
It was called the Masked Man Show, right? Kaz was not a regular on that show. It was called the Masked Man Show.
Exactly.
Then they add the with Kaz.
Exactly. There you go. That's all it is. That's all. That's as much as it takes. So that's some heel shit. He could have did that, but feel him. He's like, bro, you're not about to ask for like 50% of my shit. Like, what you talking about? Like, you got me tripping. But
I just like I said, whenever it happens for Austin Theory, I'm curious to see how they do it because right now. No, you don't deserve me to be cheering for you as a face.
Yeah, not at all.
Because you fucking stood your ground against Grayson Waller after 6 months.
Unless your gimmick is being
a complete dumbass.
Yeah, your gimmick has got to be the slow learner Austin Theory. And then maybe it's like, all right, we'll see how nuanced that could be.
Held your face up to get kicked in the face.
Yeah.
To get curb stomped or whatever it was. Like he sets you up every time to take the L, and you just keep coming back, bro.
The unified middleweight champion of the world, Terrence Crawford, knocked Austin Theory the F out, all due to Grayson Waller. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this should have been over, but that's Reggie, or shit. Either way.
It's Reggie for you. It could be Reggie for me. I just like it's gonna be. It's like Adam Pearce. It's gonna be perpetual Reggie until they get this shit until it's different.
Yeah. We got Kaylani Jordan. She's in the shake, but she's just getting stronger and stronger every week. I really don't have too much to say about this.
That's pretty much it for me too. It was great. She's really good. She's having a really strong inaugural women's North American title reign.
They're booking her well because also, as we were saying, like, all right, who is she going to be running against? Granted, it's not for the title, but like, I thought this got a lot out of Ren Sinclair too. Like, it's finally cementing her as like, she's the woman of no quarter catch crew. So it's like, all right, she had a good showing, even though, she lost. So that was good. And my last shake, I have Hank and Tank are just heavy machinery 2.0.
Yeah.
Otis's original. They're just heavy machinery, but like they're like just frat bros instead of like I guess contractors. Like, as heavy machinery, they used to like wear like workers men shit, you know what I'm saying, backstage and stuff. And it's like these guys, these are like Bill's Mafia. Hank and Tank is Bill's Mafia. That's what they are. Like, they're jumping through tables for fun. That's like they're just bros, like party, like, you know what I'm saying? That's how I read them, like frat bros right now. But everybody likes them because it's like you don't need too much right now. Like, we're in the infancy stage of the characters, so it's like that's good enough for you to latch onto.
I'm glad that you have that there because I have a similar thought, and I'm glad that you compared them to Bill's Mafia because I didn't compare. My thought is similar to Bill's Mafia, but it's a little different. Two thoughts came to me when I was looking at Hank and Tank this past week. First is it's a classic Rock promo when he was he was cutting his promo against his Armageddon when they had the Armageddon Hell in a Cell with like six people in there, and then he was cutting promos against Undertaker, Rikishi, Kurt Angle, and he got the Stone Cold. And the Stone Cold part resonates with me because then the Rock, he's like takes off, he gets the Stone Cold hat, he puts on, he's like, maybe I could be Stone Cold Steve Austin and drink a little, get him a pickup truck, drink me a couple little Steve Weisers, listen to some Backstreet Boys. So like when I see that, I think about like they're kind of like remind me of like Stone Cold Steve Austin, just for like the drinking and just like the country boys and stuff like that. But then it also reminds me of like not Florida Georgia line is like a band, right?
Yes.
I'm thinking like there was an MTV show. Was it like
Oh no, the Floribama Shore. That's what you're talking about. The Floribama Shore. Yeah, exactly.
This is that type of white dudes. That's where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
It's like oh yeah,
These are
I'm
the-
just pickup trucks,
Yeah,
baseball
exactly.
jerseys, jorts, we drinking beers, like, yeah, boy,
Yeah.
let's go.
And they definitely been playing like varsity O-line since 9th grade. Like they just been heavy set like the whole time. Yeah. But
Here's my
yeah,
cousin
I like
Bubba.
them.
Yeah, they seem like they could be a fun team. So, anything else we want to talk about the bodega?
No, that's it for me. Other stuff did happen, but I'm cool.
I mean, yeah, it was a pretty whack show to me. I mean, I even just watching the recaps, I'm like, man, I gotta rewind this because I'm like, did I miss something? Nothing really just stood out.
Nothing happened.
Really stood out.
Nothing happened. Yeah.
But
that's why it was so easy to call that the primo.
There's a lot of stuff that happened at your favorite store, the coffee shop, which is AEW Dynamite, and it was a themed week.
Yeah, they're all my favorite. I don't have any favorite children. I don't have any favorite children.
Okay.
Between both of us, tribalism is stupid.
Between the both of us, you like the coffee shop more. That's what I'm saying.
I agree with that. Yes.
Yeah. Dynamite was themed this week. It was themed this week. Grand Slam.
Yeah, we had Grand Slam, the 5-year anniversary. For the primo, I got Bryan Danielson. We knew he was going to retain, but it was awesome to see Nigel McGuinness in the ring. Freaking announcer from, he was there in AEW and shit, like Black and Yellow days and stuff. So it's like interesting that, like, listening to, the Masked Man show, Kaz brings up, he's like, yeah, it's interesting to think that it's like, oh, this guy retired, but for non-medical reasons. It's like, it's rare you hear that when it's like, oh, guy's just in his prime. He's like, I'll just step away. And it's like, because I just assumed that too. Like, that all these guys are former wrestlers. So it's like, okay, it must be, I don't know, a nerve damage, whatever. It's any number of things. So, but to see him come out, and also it gave me I know I sent you the video of that YouTube video of like the context of their Ring of Honor rivalry. I watched that whole thing through, and Nigel McGuinness was that dude, yo. Like, I've never watched any of his shit, but that was a fucking rivalry, man. So it was like, I know if I didn't have it, it probably would be sitting in mid, because it's like, who's Nigel McGuinness other than a commentator? But it's like, after seeing that, and he was like, he was huge, dude. Like, he was kind of like built like Joe Hendry right now, but more shoulders.
Okay.
Like, he was a big fucking guy. Tower of London stretch. All right, I'm like, yo, gotta go in those Ring of Honor fucking annals. Like, look, those are up in the back. But anyway, we knew he wasn't losing this, but it was primo just to see Nigel McGuinness in there. And another primo I had was Hook defeating Roderick Strong retiring his For the World or Fuck the World Championship, and having that sweet moment with Taz, because it's like, all right, if Hook is going to have this title, it's the only thing he's ever going to be known for. And it really pushed it up when you have, the real emotional moments, because you see Taz tearing up. Like, he don't got his shades on. He always wearing his shades. The shades ain't on, and you see the eyes well up and stuff. And it was awesome, like, to see that, because like, I'm sure that'll be until he wins some other championship. I don't know what's going to hold Hook to the front. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to have to insert himself into the international title picture, or like
TNT.
Yeah, TNT title. There you go. TNT title picture. That's what he'll have to do, because I'd say he ain't coming nowhere close to Continental. And I mean, even international, I would think, is above him right now. But either way, those are the two best things that happen on the show.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm working on highlights this week, so I really didn't catch this on the highlights, surprisingly, that were provided by AEW. So I have no general opinion, and I'm going to believe you on this, because I just need to just go back and watch this. But I understand the Danielson and McGuinness. Like I said, I'm sure that's great. I think Bleacher Report gave like an A+ as well. So like, I'm sure that's great. And I got to go back and watch that in full effect. And I do got to watch at least some of that video of, the Nigel McGuinness, Daniel Bryan rivalry, just to get some kind of context under my belt, just to, get a little bit more appreciation of it. So Like I said, if I had seen this, I'm probably sure I'd be right up there with you on Ditto. I'm curious because again, I didn't see this as well on the highlights. Why are they retiring the title?
Uh, no specific reason. I'm trying to think of what Hook said. Um, but like when Hook got the mic, he was more so he just immediately started thanking everybody, and he was like just thanking everybody in the crowd and stuff. And like the reason he retired it because there was like home. They were like 3 miles from home apparently, or like where
Yeah.
it was, the FTW title was born. So they said. So it's like, all right, cool. That's just putting a punctuation. Like that's the only thing that they've said on screen as far as like the reasoning why. But I think we know that it's just time, and like it was holding him back because you're just putting yourself in your own category. People have to come into your FTW title vortex, you know, uh, a historic but still unrecognized championship for its entire time it's existed. So I just think it was just to graduate him. That's really what it's about.
Yeah, and then again, another interesting thing is to hear I guess the power rankings of the mid card titles.
Hmm.
You feel?
Oh
I
yeah,
feel like the TNT, the TNT, the Continental, and
international.
International. I feel like they would all be the same level.
That's good.
But you don't have that thought. You feel like the Continental, the Intercontinental, not Intercontinental.
Continental. Yeah, I know. It's a lot of
Yeah.
syllables in these championships. Well, I was saying that in meaning because it has a shorter history. So you have bigger names with that versus like you still got like on the international side, you got like Pac, um, Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy had his like
Hmm.
37 title defenses or whatever it was. And there was a point in there where it does because you're grinding it, it felt kind of like 24/7-ish.
Yeah.
Well, still more important than 24/7 for sure. It wasn't a comedy championship, but just because it was being defended every single week, it was
Yeah.
just like, all right, so there's no threat here. But once you start attaching it to like the bigger names like a Will Ospreay now or an MJF, then it's like, all right, yeah, they elevate the prestige, obviously. So he can definitely be in that like versus like a TNT title. You got like Sammy Guevara in there.
Mm.
You got Darby Allin, guys that are more his weight class,
Yeah.
also in that history of that. So that's why it makes more sense when you brought up
I like
the
Hook.
TNT.
I like
him
Hook.
too.
Yeah.
The cold-hearted devil.
Get into our mids, and we pretty much agree on both of these. And the reason I have both of these in mids are just, well, I'll just start with the Bucks and retaining their tag team titles. I just didn't like the whole match was pretty dope. This is the most I saw on the highlights, and it looks like the Bucks were taking a lot of bumps, like
Yeah.
and some heavy bumps. So I'm like, okay, like seems like we're about to have a title change, and then it just to have it come down to a screwdriver moment, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, man, I wish we just had a better finish.
Yeah, I think it's fine just because it is mids also for me. Just because it's showing us like when Will Ospreay first got to AEW, he was part of Don Callis' family and he had to like effectively like not buy his way out, but like ask permission. He had to do a favor or whatever the fuck. So it's like it's just showing that like distinct reasoning of like how these two entities cannot get along or they will
Mhm.
not coexist. So with that, because Kyle Fletcher at the end, he's like, why? Like, why did you take the screwdriver from me? We were about to win the championship. Clearly, Will Ospreay's a face. He's like, we ain't gonna win that way, and that's what causes, for them to lose. So if anything, I think it's just Kyle Fletcher versus um Will Ospreay match coming up, or at least it should be, because Kyle Fletcher, he's been on a hot streak. And it's enough of a relationship that we know, like when Will Ospreay first debuted in AEW and he wasn't signed, like when he was still over in New Japan,
Yeah.
Kyle Fletcher was his tag team partner. They are the United Empire. There was three of them, and he was the one of the two guys in the tag team. So we have the history there. I wonder if it's enough for them to or for them, I mean by us, the fans, to like draw upon that and care about it more. But since they've been interacting, Kyle Fletcher's been like, actually not just since he's been interacting, since like this year, Kyle Fletcher has raised his stock. Wherever his ranking is on like the top 500, it shot up from between last year and this year, like for sure. So I would say it's believable to me to put that in the framework of like international championship on the line at some point. And Kyle Fletcher, like they clearly got the chemistry. They probably train together and shit. You know, they've been boys. So
again, Nick, I think they could have even had the screwdriver is the more thing. Like, is there a symbolism related to the screwdriver?
Yeah, that's Don Callis's signature betrayal or like most damaging thing. So like that's what he betrayed Kenny Omega with.
Okay.
So that's what that is. But it's just like his signature weapon because it's so egregious too. Like nobody's getting stabbed when you pull out a screwdriver.
That's where I was like, why a screwdriver?
But hey, it's the AEW, so sometimes you get on there.
I gotta get the context. Yep. I'm not going hard on them. Just getting context, just to educate myself.
No, exactly. It's the same thing. Like with when you have Sammy Guevara or not Sammy Guevara, freaking Jack Perry, in the chained up in the match, and he's about to get lit on fire, and it's like we know that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
but I mean, you do with the screwdriver. Kenny Omega took that to the forehead, not for real, but they do the, you gotta, like do the, oh no, like that shit, the kayfabe of it. So he definitely stabbed Kenny Omega in the head multiple times in kayfabe with that screwdriver. So. But
and then also, Darby Allin loses his number one
contendership. Yeah, which. This was mids just because we knew that, like, I mean, Moxley comes back. Like, I would have liked for Darby to go over, but it has been so long. Like, it was literally, like, you were even saying, I think, like, a few weeks ago, you were, like, just at the point of, like, hey, where's Moxley at? You were like, I haven't seen him in a while. And then it's like, okay, perfect timing. So it's like, he's clearly got, his creative and whatever he's gunning for. We've tried to decipher that as that goes. But, like, I will say I did not expect a avalanche paradigm shift for the finish. That was awful to look at. Darby Allin is just like, I think you'll agree with this. He's nothing but Spike Dudley in AEW. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, he's Spike Dudley of AEW. Like, he does.
It's funny because most people compare him to Jeff, but like, I think Spike might be more apt.
Spike is like, if Spike was a better wrestler, obviously. If Spike was an actual threat, like, they'd be the same person. Or not the same, not exactly, but
okay. I thought you said Spike was a better wrestler. I'm like, I don't know.
No, absolutely not.
They're both crash test dummies. Like, that's effectively what they are.
Yeah, exactly.
No, Darby isn't sophisticated. He's a lot more sophisticated of a crash test dummy. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like the T.
Yeah, he has refined violence.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the avalanche paradigm shift. I was like, oh shit, okay, yeah, he's dead. All right, because it's one of those where it happens, and you think like I thought it immediately was like leg slipping off, or the move not going exactly the way you want it to, and then like it's just modified because it looks more like on immediate watch, it looked more like a DDT, which I mean that is what the paradigm shift is. It's just a double underhook DDT, but. Like they just jumped so swiftly that I thought it was a slip, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I hope they're all right. And his head spikes too, but he's fine. It's just Darby Allin convincing you like normal that he's dead. So that's just
that skater background. That's that skater background. He knows how to fall.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to speak. I have one thought on this. I have this was probably like mid rising because I think you kind of hit the nail on the head on the coffin. Is where no pun intended. It's kind of expected that Moxley was going to win. I wish Darby kind of kept it, but I kind of understand it. And I think I'm intrigued to see what happens. I think Moxley is the one maybe to retire Bryan Danielson. And I think Darby is going to take, I think this is going to be a start of a Darby like genuine, because again, there's a lot of it is make you believe, right? We said this with Jack Perry. You know, we said
being in
this
the ring
with,
with
we said this with someone else on the WWE side. I can't remember right now. But like a lot of it is to make you believe. And Darby had this championship contendership match and he lost it. And because he lost it, the repercussions was that John Moxley was able to follow through and say that this is not your company no more. So to the point where I'm able to take the title from Bryan Danielson and have him go home and be retired. Darby Allin's gonna be like, nah, bruh, I gotta right my wrongs. So if that's the way they're going, I'm here for it. But that's why I got it in Mid Risings, because I'm just projecting, and I don't know.
Yeah,
But I'm excited if that happens. That's some long term booking for your ass right there.
yeah. Oh yeah, for my shake, let's get into it. I mean, Mariah May going over Yuka Sakazaki for the second week. Less mistakes this time, so but I just saw it, so that's why it's in shake. But and then we got MVP's debut.
Yep. That was my
Also
shake as
in
well.
shake. Yep. Prince Nana. It was booked as Prince Nana just giving an update on Swerve. And comes out, he's not medically cleared, all that stuff, but he is doing interviews, in case you didn't know. He was on Breakfast Club this week.
Yeah, I saw
and
him on
Sasha.
Breakfast Club. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
talking about
yeah.
the Black Quarterback documentary. I saw a clip of him talking about that.
And then MVP comes out. My name is M to the VP. I'm like, I hope you don't start doing that now. Like, but he wants to do business with Swerve. So, I mean, that was already in the ether. So it's cool to just see that he's there. Who would you want to see next? I mean, Lashley is the biggest one, but like
Obviously Bobby.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But Swerve's the leader of that, right? He's the champion.
Swerve don't need to be
champion.
Swerve don't need to be in no group.
Oh yeah, he doesn't need to be. Obviously, he just left the mobile embassy.
If he has a group, he has his group. You know what I'm saying? Like he don't need to be an MVP. Him and Nana did this.
Been doing this.
You know what I'm saying? They bought his childhood house together. Why I gotta go to MVP now? Who Bobby Lashley but 5 years away from getting Social Security benefits?
That Social Security receiver will beat your ass too. Keep on.
I'm kayfabe, man. Kayfabe, Bobby. I'm just saying, Bobby's not even close. He's just like about to turn 50. He got 15 more years, but.
But
this is a rivalry. This will be a rivalry. This is not this is not something where they need to. This is more of just. I think this is more of MVP putting out a cautionary, like, "Hey, I'm giving you a chance right now to join me, and if you don't, you gonna see the repercussions."
Yeah, it would be dope as shit to see. Like the Destroyer Lashley, like TNA Lashley, headband Lashley, like in AEW. Like, man,
I mean, that's Bobby Lashley could just be Brock Lesnar in AEW.
Right, he could have been Brock Lesnar in WWE.
No, we talked about that last week, but we talked about that. We talked about that last week, but do you think why doesn't just AEW just take that and just do it?
Yeah, he definitely could be. I mean, trying to think of like who's their biggest powerhouses. Like they were trying to do Wardlow for like a long time. Like he was TNT champion even for a little bit, but like I guess he just never super connected. At least not with me anyway. I'll just speak for myself. But I liked his look. It's like, all right, clearly you're booking him like this. Powerhouse Hobbs, he's probably the best like big one that they got. So yeah, I mean, and then physique wise, it's not even a close like between all three of them. Lashley is fucking an Adonis, like you already know. So but yeah, he could.
I would like Lashley to have like a prize fighter type of character.
Yeah,
take what he did with the Hurt Business, and but I want him to like win the title and just be like, I'm fighting on my own time. Like I'm a prize fighter. I don't just bump all this open challenge type of stuff. Welcoming all challenges, random motherfuckers coming out to this ring and just asking for title matches. No, bro. I only do it for the money. this belt right here is value to it, and it's value when I wrestle, and I don't wrestle for anything less than 50 mil. You know what I'm saying? Just like throw it out there.
Jesus.
Hey, you gotta put it out there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like
I know my worth.
No, it's like basically be Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
That's what I want him to be. Like, hey, the only time you're gonna see Floyd Mayweather in this ring is when it's worth it. When these dollars are coming in. So like
hey, that works because I mean you got MVP there to be the mouthpiece. So it's like that obviously will work even better. So I'm down for it. Like, but when you say Floyd Mayweather, Bobby Lashley, I'm like, oh, okay. But he's gonna have to do a little bit of talking. Floyd talks shit. He just gonna have to do a little
Bobby
bit.
Can talk. Bobby can talk a little bit.
As long as he can do, like, I mean, even Okada, he don't gotta fucking talk. Like, he barely gotta talk. So it's like you just need those good fucking punches from him, like a good like 2 sentences, 3 sentences every so often. That's it. But yeah, MVP and AEW, that's cool. Yeah, this is the coffee shop
with the AEW part of it. You see, you got a couple TNA call outs.
Yeah.
More of the coffee shop.
I'm gonna keep these quick, because I was gonna point out that it's coffee shop, it's AEW and other. So
yeah, don't forget the other.
Yeah, we got Joe Hendry, who went up against Frankie Kazarian in a number 1 contendership match for the TNA title. And we know TNA title right now belongs to Nick Nemeth, the wanted man, Nick Nemeth, formerly Dolph Ziggler. I thought it was great. Like, they put the whole matchup, like Kazarian, like he's fucking 50 years old also, but he's a high flyer, so it's like even more impressive. It's like Rey Mysterio or some shit. Still doing his like springboard, leg drops and all that type of shit, hitting his marks. Nick Nemeth interferes in the match because he doesn't interfere. He's a face. Frankie Kazarian is knocked down outside the ring. He picks up some brass knucks and cold clocks, Joe Hendry as he is leaning outside the ring. Because for whatever reason, you always have to put your head between the top rope and the middle rope and try and pull somebody up because that's just what we do in kayfabe. So, but when you do that, you're gonna get popped. 1, 2, 3, and Nick Nemeth is like, no. Hey, you want to earn a title? You want to earn a shot at this title? Then you do it the right way. And which at that point in time, I was like, I don't want to hear that shit. You win either way. You gotta win. So I don't care. But then what convinced me? It wasn't even Nick Nemeth. It was the national treasurer and director of authority of TNA, Santino Marella, who comes out. He said, "No, these 2 white circles in my head, those are called my eyeballs. And I see what you just did there, Frankie Kazarian." I was like, yes. So just him coming in and being the savior of that, was great. That was the main event, obviously. And
I want to call out one thing about Santino. This probably should have been on NXT. He was on NXT, and he had a little segment with Ariana Grace.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh shit, like let's go. And like there's a slight acknowledgement that's father and daughter. And so I'm like, let's go. I'm here. It was hilarious. So anytime again, we got Funaki back and Santino. Let's go.
And just to point out, they had that not the exact same skit, but like another thing like that on TNA. Because you know what Ariana Grace is right now?
What was that?
Do you know what she's doing right now? Like what her booking is?
I just know that she's kind of like the brat. Like she wears like a tiara and like a little she's like homecoming queen or something like that. Like
she's Miss NXT. She won the Miss NXT. So with that, when they started having the TNA and NXT crossover, she came over and they had that same moment where she walks into the back and he said, "Oh, before the videos!" And like she has the crown and everything on.
Yeah.
He's like, I know I read you right. And we are going very professional here. And he gives her the title. She's the liaison. She's the one who's actually controlling everything between NXT and TNA. So she's the NXT liaison for TNA. And that's what she's doing. But,
I dig that. Again, they're 2 great characters, and the fact that it's father and daughter, it's like that's what's up. It's gonna be fun. Santino's just so good. That Cobra is probably Top 5 most devastating move of all time?
I think it's the best. It's the best comedy finisher. Is it the best comedy finisher ever?
I put it over the
Like,
stunner, bro.
yeah, I mean, because like if I think of comedy
I'm just
finishers, I'm
joking, but
thinking,
like the Cobra, the way he pulls it off and then he shoots it at you,
yeah,
and the way people sell it, I'm like, yo, you're dead. You're
yeah.
dead.
But Elimination Chamber, what was it? Elimination Chamber 2012, 2013, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Bruh, I believed for that split fucking second. I believed. Like, dog, I believed. Oh, man.
Oh man.
The last bit I wanted to get to. Oh, yeah, on TNA. Sol Ruka was the one to back up Jordan Grace and Rosemary versus and Wendy Chu tag team match.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rosemary and Wendy Chu have been working together so long that I'm like, okay, like this is like an established, because they've done this twice on both shows, so it's all right. This is like continue universe. I want to say the bottom line of it is Rosemary and Jordan Grace. You know what I'm saying? Their match whenever that comes down the line, and they're kind of just like rotating out like other women from NXT to just like give the rub, but. TNA had never seen Sol Ruka before, so what do you think they oohed and ahhed about? It was just the Soul Snatcher, and she pops that Soul Snatcher, and Jordan Grace, she hits like the Juggernaut Driver, but then it was another TNA wrestler. Forgive me, I did not remember her name, but she came in and like caused a DQ and like started beating up the faces. So, and then Masha Slamovich, who I do know her from TNA, she came out for the other save, the face save. So. Ended up being, running the heels off that way. But yeah, they fucked with Sol Ruka over there. So that's what popped my interest in that. So it's like, yeah.
Sol Ruka's so dope because I remember I was a fan of her before she tore her ACL. I was like, because again, you just see that Snow Snatcher, you're like, oh snap. What the hell is that?
Right.
That's wild. But if I'm Jordan Grace, I always got to be suspicious of an NXT person trying to tag with me.
Yeah.
Because all that means is that, the match is going to go. They're not going to, get at you during the match. But, that means that you're going to have to defend that title against that person. So I think we're going to get Sol Ruka versus Jordan Grace for an NXT title shot.
That would be true if Jordan was a heel, though. But she's like Cody in the sense of like, hey, I'm a fighting champion and I'm willing to see anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Mean,
so if you're willing to back me
it's
up,
fighting champion, but it's still, it's like, why entertain it though? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. It makes sense for Jordan Grace. I'm just saying, from a non-kayfabe, I'm like, nah, you're only tagging with me because you have motivations to get a title shot.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason you tag with me.
Yeah, it's got to be in the back of your mind. It's got to be in the back of your mind for sure.
You ain't my friend. You ain't got the lie, soul. That's that's the funny thing that I kind of take from that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about at the coffee shop?
No, that was that's my splash of TNA creamer that I had to throw up in there.
All right. Let's move on to Thursday, where we don't have much this week, but it was announced by Cardi B in a video with Bianca Belair that SummerSlam next summer, obviously in August 2nd and 3rd. It's 2 nights, as we imagine, as these big fours will be turning into. Now, we'll see what happens with Survivor Series if that actually turns into 2 nights. I doubt it.
Yeah.
But SummerSlam is going to be not in New York. It's in New Jersey. And when they said that, I'm like, is it not at Met? I mean, it's at MetLife, but I'm like, usually when you're at MetLife, you still call it New York.
Yeah,
so I'm curious of why they call it Jersey, but
pretty sure it's in Jersey.
Yeah, but like WrestleMania was in New York. It was at MetLife, and they still called it in New York.
Oh yeah. Okay, you just mean the marketing of it, type of thing. Yeah.
And so that's where I'm just it doesn't matter to me. It's still in a stadium, whatever. But what are your thoughts? Cardi announcing SummerSlam.
Yeah, I didn't know until you said it just now, and she also says, "Here's to the streets and my girl Bianca." So it's like, all right, so we get in the Bianca entrance with Cardi. That'll be dope. That'll be dope as shit. Like, I wonder
I think it's
immediately because
Cardi. I
Cardi is
think it's
such a
Bianca right
character.
now, but I'm trying to see Cardi with Naomi.
Yeah,
That's
I know that'd be fire.
That's the match. That's the match. It's like tag team match. Cardi and Naomi. Hopefully, Naomi has a title belt on her at that point,
Okay,
and it's Cardi and Naomi versus.
Jade, and I would have to say Jade and Bianca. I would think.
No, it'd have to be Tiffany and like Naya.
Yeah, sure. If they lasted that long, which they're not, because that contract's gonna run out. So, but yeah, I would think maybe Jade's a heel already at this point. I don't know. That's a whole year away, so we don't know. But
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting, but yeah, nonetheless, we might have to look into getting tickets to these.
like in New York,
It's not far. Summertime, August 2nd and
what is
3rd.
that? What is that? 5 hours?
4 hours, yeah.
4 hours?
That's
Okay.
a straight drive on 95, bro.
Yeah, that's what's up.
So we
Well,
might
yeah,
have
that's
to look
cool.
into that. We might have to look into getting the tickets when those come out. But moving on, we are at the book of wrestling, and we only have a couple topics today this week.
Yeah.
Get off.
Yeah, I will start it off with the first being today, actually, in 1998. So we're talking about 26 years ago today. Stone Cold opens up a can of whoop ass off of Zamboni. One of the most watched segments of all time. Just for context, found this on our usual website that we go to for this, but following on from the finish of the previous night's main event, where both Undertaker and Kane pinned WWF champion Stone Cold Steve Austin, Vince announced Monday Night Raw that Taker nor Kane would be the champion. With a ring full of staff, McMahon was about to make his announcement when the cameras cut to Stone Cold driving a Zamboni through backstage area and all the way up to the ring, crashing into the ring. Austin then launched himself from top of the Zamboni and beat the hell out of the boss, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Iconic. It's worth the mention.
So many great moments. We actually have another one. I'm gonna throw this one there because I heard this on the Masked Man Wednesday Worldwide. But I can't not mention this. September 27th, 1999. This Is Your Life. Rock and Mankind segment happens. One of the most iconic segments. Let me find the description. In the highest rated segment in Raw history in terms of audience size, aired featuring Mankind, Mick Foley, presenting This Is Your Life presentation to The Rock. It would feature guests such as The Rock's home economics teacher, gym teacher, an old high school girlfriend, and he would insult them all in a wonderful Rock fashion. The segment had an 8.2 audience rating. It went like 20 minutes when it was only supposed to go 8. Vince was super pissed. And then the next night, Mick comes up to Rock and he's like in the back. He's like, yo, you see the numbers? And he's like, nah. And he showed him, he was like, bro, that's wild. So I remember watching this live as a kid, as a 9-year-old kid, and it was great then. And every time on a rewatch, it's still great. So iconic, classic moment. One of my favorite moments in wrestling history of all time. Rock, This Is Your Life. Any thoughts?
It is one of the most.
Just leaving it blank,
bro. Like I don't know what you want me. That's legendary stuff. Like yes,
okay,
to everything. Like okay. I was like,
you just left it blank. We got blank dead space here.
Like you said, it's literally. If anybody has seen anything from Raw, they saw that. Like literally, that's what you just said. That is the highest rated moment ever. Like I should go back and watch it, honestly. But I did watch the Stone Cold Zamboni shit that I brought up earlier. Um, but go ahead with the Bloodline. You
Yeah, I
got 2
mean,
years
this is
ago.
also one of my personal favorites as well. 2 years ago, on the 23rd of September, Sami Zayn becomes an honorary Uce, and we watched this live. Um, this was a great moment because there was a lot of tension in the room, and you really thought that Sammy was going to get kicked out and his ass whooped finally
Yeah.
by these the rest of the bloodline. And to see Roman just like rip off that shirt and just like Sammy just bare chested, and then him giving him that honorary Oos t-shirt, I popped so hard for that moment. Like I loved it. And I
Yeah.
immediately bought an honorary Oos shirt as soon as they came out. I should have wore it today, but again, been slacking this entire week. But one of my favorite moments as well is Sammy becoming an honorary Oos. That was such a great moment and well done moment.
It's great. It's funny because I was just as you're saying that, I'm like, I remember what did the shirt say? Was he was wearing the generic Bloodline shirt at that point? It wasn't Bloodline
I
shirt. It
think
wasn't a
it
specific
might
shirt
have
for
been
him.
let me check it in the video because
Because
unless they
I'm just thinking immediately that like they dropped the ball on like whatever that period of time that he was in. They could have just had him in training, like had that like shirt or something. I'm like, I
yeah.
feel like I've seen that shirt somewhere, or that might have been like a fan shirt that somebody made, but I feel like I've seen that. I'm like, oh yeah, that would work perfectly. But
I think
yeah,
he just
the
had a regular
Sammy,
bloodline shirt.
just regular bloodline. Okay, yeah, and yeah, it was great because obviously the whole thing was just Sammy trying to really earn his spot slash be one of the locker room
And
leaders
Jay
that he was
was
saying he
not
was,
feeling Sammy
and
at
Jay
that
wasn't
time.
feeling it, and then it culminates in all of this, like where Roman's like, it don't matter, you don't like him, I like him, so that's what it's gonna be, and then immediately dapping up Jimmy. So
Yeah, the whole little man.
mhm.
It was fun, man. It was fun. But yeah, we're a little light on the history this week, but sue us.
That's fine. We made up for it last week. Like I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to make up for my
we went
champions of the
super
week
OD
too.
last
So
week. So now we're finally at the SmackDown boutique. Um, I'll let you start off with your thoughts.
uh, another for the most part, I would say another mid show, like comparable to or above NXT, but mid for SmackDown as a whole. But the primo thing that was on here, Carmelo and Andrade, once again, just let the work do the work for you. Just get in that ring and show us. Carmelo wins round 6. This would be part 6
It
of
was
this
3-3.
rivalry going back. Yeah, it's 3-3. And this was off of a LA Knight distraction now because he was coming down to get some get back off of Carmelo and interrupted when Andrade was in control. And then, of course, what do you expect? Carmelo executes the most devastating maneuver in all of sports entertainment, schoolboy pin. 1-3 for the tied up in their personal series. So I know when we originally had this, or well, I know one of my original bookings was like, you just got to blow this off with a two out of 3 falls. I would think that also, I mean, now that LA Knight has just directly put himself in the crossfire, I mean, we know they're in the US title picture. Should we just jump to should we do part 7? Like Carmelo and Andrade part 7, right? For
Yeah.
effectively you number 1 contendership again. But I feel like that's redundant because Andrade just earned it. So if he just lost, then obviously Carmelo would be the one to win. But either way, so do that or just call it a triple threat. So I think that's what they're showing us. Just call it a triple threat at this point. But but that's where I'm stuck because I want to see
I feel
Carmelo's
like
solo match. I
Carmelo
want to see his solo
should get
match
his
with LA Knight. Yeah.
yeah, Carmelo should have his own singles match. Not win that, and then we get a triple threat. But I don't know. I feel like can this go till Survivor Series?
Sure, we're at part 11 and they're or like part 10 and they're 5-5. You're like,
Yeah.
they can do it. Hell yeah.
I don't.
Like I still got it in primo. Like I said, as long as when you got workers like this, and you're letting them lean on their strengths, because we know, I mean, part of what a lot of people would say held Andrade back is his accent or his English speaking, and it's like, but yeah, if he's quiet and he's just doing this every day, you can't tell him shit, or no fan would tell you, oh, he's not worth a world championship shot. You know what I'm saying? So
again, they're allowing people to speak their language.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like Andrade can cut something in Spanish. Like
yeah,
it don't matter.
Which I love that anyway. Yeah, exactly. Something extra special for the Latinos. We'll get the translation later.
Yeah,
somewhere on YouTube.
We will be just fine. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm here for it, just like you. Again, I'm just more curious to see how that kind of plays out. I had him primo as well. One thing that I did want to call out. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I was gonna move it to the mids, but
oh yeah. I was gonna go into the mids, and I want to see where you specifically feel about the solo Jacob Fatu beating KO Randy Orton, because I'm more inclined of just how the match was set, more so than the match.
Yeah,
the match being set where KO says like, "Hey, me and Randy versus Solo and Jacob tonight on SmackDown," and then Cody is like, "Hey, why does it need to be a tag team match? There's 3 of you, there's 3 of us," and Kevin was like, "Yo, chill.
Yeah,
You already got your match with your partner. Me and Randy gonna do this tonight." And then Cody was like, "What's going on here?" So I like that move from from Kevin. That I would have that as my mid risings, because it's an interesting approach. It's an interesting approach. Give Kevin a bit of a pop out for saying that, like, yeah, man, he's trying to protect you. You don't need to hurt yourself. You just need to make it till next week. You're not gonna wrestle on Friday night, next Friday.
Yeah.
So keep yourself healthy, right? But really, Cody felt some type of way about that.
He definitely did.
I feel about Xavier not being the heel in this situation. Cody is the heel in this situation. He's the heel. He's Homelander. He's Homelander. You are thinking, people think he's a good guy. He is not a good guy.
Is there any chance that he's just stupid?
Cody?
Like like that's honestly what it is.
Again, we talked about it last week when he turned around and saw Kevin with the chair and he gave him that pops reaction. So yes, there is a chance that I guess Cody could be just plain stupid. So, but again, we keeping the juju in the atmosphere, in the ether. Some of the things Cody moved, again, it's just some of the things Cody does. Just you gotta look at it and be like, oh man, it's a little weird. Weird decision making. Like, who are you doing this for? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
keep your eye out on Cody.
Yeah, and
keep your eye out. That's all I'm saying. Keep your eye out on Cody. Everybody wants to look at Kevin. Keep your eye out on Cody. The same thing that we talk about Ray being a bad friend. Keep your eye out on Cody.
Yeah.
Ray gonna be like, oh, why does everybody turn on me? Bro, look at the tape. Carlito had every reason excuse to turn on you. Who else turned on him? Legado Fantasma.
Legado, yeah. Santos Escobar, yeah.
Santos has every reason to turn against you. Kevin has a reason to turn against you.
I mean, but when the basis of your turning is kind of like just racism and prejudice because you got like a Filipino in the Latino world order, that's kind of wild. But yeah, I get you. It's called Latino World Order. That was like Santos's whole point, if I remember correctly.
Who's a Filipino? Dragon Lee Filipino?
Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee is not Hispanic. Yeah.
I do not know that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's like, so that was his whole issue. Was like he's not even Latino, and it's like that's racist. You can, like, I mean, I understand, but it's like, come on, dog. Like, but yeah, the match was great. Like we didn't expect to go any other way because you can't like it's like beating your champion before the pay-per-view. You know, they're not champions, but they are the biggest heel threat. So, and yeah, just the last thing on Cody is like, yeah, like how did you forget your champion or not? I was about to say championship match, your tag team match next week, which clearly you haven't. So you're so arrogant and stupid to think that like, well, yeah, I'll just run the fade right now because there's nothing that could possibly happen to me between now and that match. You know what I mean? Like usually if a heel has a chance to like sit back and like let somebody else soften up their opponent, they'll do that. I mean, and you don't have to be like a sniveling heel, but you can understand the fact that it's like, oh yeah, they're wrestling this week and I'm not. That's good for me next week. So it doesn't even take 3% brain function to figure that, Cody, but that's the last thing I want to say for him.
Did Cody like cost him this match? I gotta recall.
I gotta recall too. Don't get me lying up here, honestly. Looking at the Bleacher Report real quick.
Thomas and Rhodes ended up getting involved and led to Cody accidentally costing his friends the match.
Yeah, so. Exactly how you think it would go. Because KO still hasn't turned on him, so that'll be his like next, challenger. Clearly, that they're just like using that as a through line. Exactly.
No, Cody can't mind his business. He's the face of the company. I'm telling you, bro. Homelander. He's got Homelander syndrome written all over him. I will go with my next mid. You have this at Reggie. I understand your thoughts, but Bayley beating Naomi, I mean, the match itself was good. Obviously, I'm disappointed Naomi lost. I would hope she would win this. But I think the reason why I have this in mid is more so for the after the match interaction that she had with Bayley backstage. And it was a small moment. But Bianca said, not Bianca, Bayley came up to her and tried to apologize for something. I forget the full context of the conversation, but Naomi said something that caught Bayley off guard and thought that Naomi felt some type of way. And then Naomi kind of quickly played it off. It was like, girl, I'm just playing with you. Like, blew that in the third. And like, oh, and Bayley was like, oh, thank God. Like, I was so worried to set in the third. And so I don't think that's true. I think Naomi definitely feels some type of way. And so that feeling that you have in your Reggie, I think she feels that same way. She's listening to this podcast and she's been hearing us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think we might see Naomi turn heel.
I'd be okay with that. But I mean,
that's why I have this at mids.
Yeah, sure. If you're projecting out and she goes into that, then that would be like just in a vacuum, just watching another Naomi loss. I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't take another singles Naomi loss when she came back at the top of the year and she was the TNA Women's Champion. Like, and we've done nothing since then. So like the most significant moment is a trios, pin that she got when we were there.
Yeah.
Unholy Union and I forget who else, but yeah. Either way, it's like I'm tired of that. I'm sick of it. So that's my only thought against that. No, nothing against Bayley. Obviously, she's awesome. Booking.
Yeah, it's you would hope that we had one surprise with Jey winning. You would hope that she could have pulled it out. And this was for a number one contenders match to face Nia at Bad Blood.
Yeah. And I would think also that, I mean, my thought is Naomi's winning this. So that's also why it's pushing down to Reggie. Because if I was betting on this match, I would have picked Naomi for this match because she's due. Like, Bayley just had the championship. So, I mean, this is me being a whiny fan, not getting exactly what I want, but all right.
Maybe Naomi turns on her at Bad Blood. The whole expectation is that Tiffany is going to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe Tiffany tries to do it, but Naomi comes out of nowhere thinking she's gonna stop Tiffany, but really takes out Bayley. Who knows? But I think this is giving an opportunity for Naomi to have some character depth. Maybe it gives her some direction. Those are my thoughts on SmackDown. You have one more thought before we
Yeah.
get into Saturday.
I'm looking forward to this. The shake is the Michin defeating Piper Niven, and just their rivalry, the Michin and Chelsea Green. Like Chelsea Green versus having matches in the ring, she just continues to have her dumpster mat training montages, which are just as good as the matches that are happening in ring for Michin's build, if not better. And I am enjoying them thoroughly. So it kind of makes me think of like, I honestly forget what their issue is, other than like, I feel like Chelsea Green did call Michin trash like a few weeks ago. So I'm pretty sure that's just the spark of this being a dumpster match. But watching this reminds me of the tooth and nail match of Big Swole versus Britt Baker, when Britt Baker was the role model. She was like, she had a torn ACL or like a torn meniscus or something, and she was still showing up to work and still like, just talking shit in a wheelchair. And eventually, that builds to the tooth and nail match in a cinematic like doctor's office, or not cinematic, but like a backstage like dentist office, And I feel like this has the potential to do that. If I see Michin and Chelsea Green like in the middle of like a landfill, that's what I would want to see. Like that would be sick as fuck to just have
That'd be
them in the middle of a
hilarious.
landfill and like make it cinematic. And I would,
that'd be hilarious. So, like you just kind of like, we haven't seen Chelsea and Piper Niven in a couple weeks. Where are they at? And then all of a sudden it just like sees them like over at like in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a trash dump.
Exactly.
And
Just in a
Chelsea's
clearing like you've seen in a movie.
Yeah, Chelsea's just fucking crying her eyes out.
The only reason this doesn't make sense is because like Michin was like, like welcome to like my streets, or like my something. I think she picked the stipulation, or like either way, Michin is looking forward to this match because it favors her. And with the Chelsea Green, vignettes, it's very clear Chelsea can't pick up trash like at all. She can't see it, she can't smell it. It's awful. So I'm just confused on like really the defining trait of Michin in this, because I'm all go. I want another nugget of character like development or something. I need another plot point for Michin specifically.
I think what this is getting across is that
for.
Michin is the violent woman of WWE.
Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. She was just in a street fight and shit.
Like kendo sticks and stuff like that. Like her.
Yeah.
She was the HBIC. In NXT.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I think it's trying to add some of that where it's like this girl's from the streets.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I was like. Being in the streets doesn't mean that you like fuck with dumpsters. Like that's what I was like, a dumpster match. All right, okay, but yeah, I like that. All right, so you're saying she's just like the utility like stipulation player. Like she can go into like any type of
like
violent
Eddie Kingston
situation.
Or what's the other dude that the Briscoe brother?
Yeah, Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, just like those type of guys where it's like, man, like every time you see them, it's like. It's gonna be a brawl.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it's like you don't know, like it's supposed to be just a straight up singles match, but fuck it, she's gonna bring out a kendo stick and whoop your ass with it, because
exactly, it's just gonna be what it is.
And like where it's like that's where like the dynamic with her and Jada Parker kind of vibes well, because you can imagine like them being. We always book someone as APA. They could be an APA.
Oh yeah, between those two for sure.
Like on the main roster, Jada Parker and Michin as an APA, that'd be dope. And them just whipping women's asses.
I do want to say,
however, by any means necessary, that'd be dope. That's a lot of attitude.
I'm down for that. Yeah. But
that's how I see Michin playing out. But nonetheless, that should be fun. I don't think that's on the card. That's not on Bad Blood either.
No, it's not. I'm hoping that's like pre-show maybe, but I don't know.
They haven't done pre-show matches in forever.
Okay, well, good.
It's
But
usually
yeah,
it's an hour of let's recap everything that led us up to this night.
right, it can be like a main event of a SmackDown though, like one of your chiller weeks for sure. Like if you're giving it time, that can just be
Yeah.
your main event for a SmackDown. So I'm down for that.
One thing I did want to call out for next week for Bad Blood is that the show starts at 6:00 Eastern Standard Time. The reason that's for is because this is the first time that a WWE pay-per-view and a UFC event will be happening consecutively at the same time. So
Mhm.
to avoid drop-offs, that's why they pushed up the start time like to 6:00 instead of 7:00. So the show finishes in time that people can actually just switch over to UFC. So bit of programming news, and I just wanted to throw out there to keep top
Hell
of
yeah.
mind.
Well, I will set you up with the volley because I do not have a champion of the week, but I will double up next week. Same way you had to
All
do.
right, then
So
we will be light on champions this week. But yeah, like I said, it was spoiler. It came from Monday night. It goes to Dominic Mysterio. I'm giving him the Joker from next Friday. Joker.
wait, big Joker, baby Joker, or
No, Joker.
Joker?
Joker.
Okay, I'm just making sure because there's three of
Yeah,
them.
the leader. Yeah, Joker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joker. No more locked doors.
Yeah.
Title belt to Dominic Mysterio. Because again, his reaction to when she said, "Hey, we're gonna have you where you like to be in like behind bars," and he's like, "I'm not going back. I'm not going back." My immediate thought went to Joker when he was like, "No more locked doors. No, Leroy. I'm bilingual. That's different."
Yeah. I was saying I was gonna ask you if you remember the quote right after that. Yeah.
Oh man. So shout out to Dominic Mysterio for buying into that bit so hard because it was all worth it for it.
That
It
was
was
great.
all for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's champion of the week. I had another one. It's blinking on me. I think it was probably the same title belt. It was the same belt to Dominic, but it was somebody else I was using a different one for. So now I'll just leave it at that, Dominic. That was a great reaction. I like that. It's gonna be fun to see you being cowardly up in that shark cage above the ring. So yeah, that's my champion of the week. And you are due for 2 next week.
All right, don't hold me to it because I'll forget. But either way, I'll just I ain't gonna forget. But anything else you want to say? I think this is a perfect episode. Just as perfect as last time, and the time before that, and the time before that, and it's just a never-ending streak of perfection. Honestly,
it's amazing how we continuously do it every week, and we make it look easy, but it's hard. But it's not that hard. I don't know. I guess I'm just tired of talking right now, so I'm ready to chop it up and call this an episode.
Yeah. The only thing that's hard is getting champions of the week. For me.
Moody, where can they find us on socials?
Oh, find us on TikTok, Instagram, Gmail. We had a link tree, but we canceled that because we don't need that. You got to pay for a link tree in case viewers didn't know. Yeah. But we're at the Wrestling Rehab everywhere, all platforms.
Are we on all
Twitch
platforms?
Too.
Are we on all platforms?
All enough. All video consuming.
You're missing the one where the actual communication happens.
Twitch. Yeah.
The other T, but we'll get there soon enough.
Yeah.
But yes, another episode. We'll catch y'all next week. Peace.
Later, y'all.